Hi, I'm Amber Garvey, and I'm super excited to be presenting at the BCS STEAM 2020 conference again this year. I'm presenting the topic, Wakelet, More Than Meets the Eye. So if you found this video and that's the topic you're expecting, you're in the right place. So I'm not there live today. I am doing a remote recording, which is a little bit different, but we're still going to have some fun together, and I'm going to give you some directions to help you after the video's over so that you can proceed to learn and show your learning and get your CEUs. So let's get started. So since we're doing this remotely, the only thing you need to make sure that you can do is see me and hear me in this YouTube video. So you may want to check your volume if you're having difficulty hearing me. This presentation can be found at this link, bit.ly, that's bit.ly / all caps BCS 20 capital W Wakelet. That's BCS 20 Wakelet. Then you'll get to this presentation where you'll have all the links and resources that you need to be successful in this session. If you have any questions today, since we're not live, after you go through everything, if you still have some things that you're wondering about or you need some ideas, please feel free to email ITECH, that's ITech, at hcpsnc.org if you have any follow-up questions. So let's keep going. At the end of the keynote today, you're going to be able to get some credit because you'll receive a link in your email to complete the attendance and feedback form. You have to fill out the form today, so be watching your email and check your spam because it will close after 24 hours and you'll want to make sure that you get your attendance and credit. When you complete the form, a link will be sent to you so that you can use your print or save to get your certificate. Please direct any questions at the link there, bit.ly / BCS STEAM 2020 question. I'm not allowed to issue certificates, so you'll have to use that link to get support. So let's talk about your credit. You'll receive 0.1 CEUs, which is equal to 1 contact hour for each hour that you attend. So if you attended a three-hour session total, you'll get 0.3 CEUs, or a full day for 0.6 CEUs. So it depends on the course that you're taking and the sessions that you're taking to know exactly how many CEUs you'll receive. The type of credit is approved by your school or district when you follow your approval process. Each one has their own policies and procedures. So BCS STEAM sessions are recommended for digital learning competency credits or DLCs. So you will be able to get DLCs if you follow the appropriate measures for your district. You have to attend and participate in the sessions to be able to get your credits. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Amber Garvey again, and I work for Henderson County Public Schools at the district level in instructional technology. My cohort, Angie McClung, is usually here with me making sure everyone's okay on the chat bar, but since this isn't live, she's off doing other things. But you may have heard of us referred to as the A-Team. So you only have half of me here today. But I did want to let you know that I am a Wakelet ambassador, certified to help train and support you in Wakelet needs. I'm also a Google certified administrator, a Google certified trainer, and a level 1 and 2 educator. So I love Wakelet and I can't wait to share with you about it, but I did want to share on this slide that you have my email address if you have questions, and you also have my Twitter handle, so I would love for you to follow me on Twitter. So let's keep going and let's talk about this presentation today. We talked about being able to get DLCs. So here are the 2 specific digital learning competencies that are targeted for students and for teachers when thinking about Wakelet. So students will be able to be knowledge constructors and global collaborators when you use these tools, because students are able to measure what kinds of things they're putting into a collection, and that helps them meet these 2 specific competencies from the ISTE standards. So What is Wakelet? Some of you may have signed up for this session just because it was a new tool that you'd never heard of. So let's talk about what it is. So for use of Wakelet, it's a place that you can gather information, curate it into collections. You can even use it as a replacement bookmarking system. You can share all sorts of links with others. You can use it to collaborate and join resources together so that you have kind of a crowdsourcing of resources. You can also use it to organize instruction, to organize links, organize all sorts of different media, and so many more ways to use it. There is a link when you have this presentation. When you click on this link, it takes you to a new tab that's how to use Wakelet to organize instruction. Now I'm sort of looking at it as the owner's mode, but just so that you can see, I do want to sort of point out a few things. So you'll notice that this is a Wakelet collection. I've got a picture here at the top, and let's talk about some of the things that are in it. You can see some images, some text. Here's a YouTube video. If I keep scrolling, there's a Google Doc. There's even other types of Wakelets that can be embedded in other Wakelets. Blogs, hyperlinks. There's even Twitter posts that you can put into your Wakelet collection. Again, more videos. Lots of different resources that you can link. Here's a thing link. Google Docs again. All sorts of information, PDFs, even app links. There's all sorts of information that you can include in a Wakelet collection. This particular collection is on the topic of how to use Wakelet to organize instruction. I do want to show you a couple of samples of other types of things because in a little bit you're going to be creating your own Wakelet collection, and I want you to be able to see some of the ways that you can use Wakelet. So in this collection, there's a link for different Wakelet examples. So I'm going to click on that and show you a few. So here are a few samples of how people are using Wakelet in their classrooms. So this particular person used Wakelet because they were researching food waste. And so they collected links and resources, and they used this infographics, all sorts of things, so that they could talk about food waste. Here we have Wakelet being used for presenting content. So instead of that old slideshow or video, Wakelet can also be used to present content and show learning. So here's one of those samples for presenting content. Some teachers are even using Wakelet to do newsletters and communications from school to home. So here are some important dates, things they're learning. So this is how one teacher is using Wakelet for sharing information in newsletters. Now, in our district, Angie that I mentioned before and we like to send weekly news posts out to all our teachers so they know what PD is being offered and what resources are available. So we have news stories that we have linked, and these are our news posts from last year. So you can see that our Wakelet collection is all of our news posts, and you can see this one looks a little what I call Pinteresty because they're just little boxes, and this is all of our news for the year of 1920. So that's another way that you can use Wakelet as a place to post different items. Here's another one. I did a 30 tech tools in 30 days challenge to our staff in HCPS, and there was a different number for every day and a different tech tool for every day so that people could see what's the tech tool and what is the challenge for the day. So lots and lots of different ways to use it, and those samples are all linked to your presentation, so you'll be able to see it and use it. Here's a great way some students are using it to submit portfolio samples. We do a lot of professional development collections in Wakelet. Here's a bunch of ideas for Chromebook management. We had teachers posting different ideas of how do you manage your Chromebooks or your devices in your classroom. So we sort of have a collection on that. So lots of different ways to use Wakelet, tons of ways. And so let's go back to our presentation and kind of get started. So here's how I'm going to sort of run things. Normally, if I was doing this live, we would take step by step by step, and I would show you how to do something and then give you some time to do it. Now you can still do this video that way, where I show you something and I'll ask you to pause and you can do it, or you can go ahead and watch the video all the way through, and then at the end of the presentation it's got all the tasks in one place, so you can do your tasks all at once. So you get to choose. You can do it all at once or you can do it a little bit of at a time. So you get that benefit of having this as a recorded session. So I'm going to show you how to do a couple things in Wakelet, and then you are going to either follow suit and do the tasks right away, or you can do yours at the end. But let's get started playing with Wakelet. I know you're going to enjoy it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make an account. So I'm going to open up a window and we're going to make an account together so you can see how this works. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to wakelet.com, wakelet.com. When you get there, you'll see a big green sign up button. If you don't see the green sign up button here, you'll see one at the very top, but if you'll just click sign up, it's free. Once you get here, I'm going to pause and let you know that depending on what your district uses, if you're a Google district, you'll want to just continue with Google, or if you're a Microsoft district, you'll want to click with Microsoft. If you don't use either of those things as a way to log in, you can just sign up with your school email. This is super easy to do. So while we're here, let's talk about students. Wakelet is able to be used by all levels of students, but not all districts allow students to have Wakelet accounts. I'm going to show you how to use Wakelet without having to have a student account, but I did just want to throw in there, it is a tool that all levels of students are able to use, and I'll show you how to do it without having to have an account for your students. So back to you. So to make your account, you're either going to click continue with Google or continue with Microsoft, and you're going to log in with your account like you normally do when you log in with either Microsoft or Google. And again, if you don't have that, you can just sign up with email. For the sample, I'm going to go ahead and use Google and log in with a Google account. So after you log in, you'll know you're successful when you get to the Hey page. So this has pulled over my Google name, and so it says, Hey, teacher test. So we need to get a little information from you before we continue. So I'm going to click Get Started. Now, if you are a social media user, you may want your social media name in Wakelet to be the same as your regular social media name. So if this particular person's user or social media name was teacher test 40, I could see if it was available, and it'll tell you if it's available with the green check mark. If it's not available, it'll let you know that as well. But it'll pick one for you that is available first of all, but if you want to see if your Wakelet name can match your usual social media name, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Then it asks you what is your job. So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm an educator, and I'm going to choose that I'm an educator in elementary school or whatever your grade level is, and I'm going to click Done. So after you choose that, when you get to the pulsating green plus sign, you are in the right place. So now that we see the pulsating green plus sign, we're going to take a look at a couple more things before we actually get started creating a collection. But I want us to click on our name, which is under the little circle that may or may not have your picture depending on how you logged in. But once you click on your name, this is your profile page, and you'll want to have a good profile page, particularly if you're going to be using this with students or other teachers, so that they'll see where your information is. So you'll notice right now my profile page is pretty blank. It's just got my little circle here. It doesn't have any collections, but there's a button that says Edit Profile. So I'm going to click on Edit Profile. This is where you can upload a profile image. So if you wanted to upload that image, you could do that there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little picture here. Once you choose your picture, you can choose to zoom in or zoom out, and then click Save. Again, you don't have to. This is just something that you want to do. Now, if you're going to be using this with students and you want to change your name to like Mrs. Test or whatever, you could certainly do that. That's totally up to you. At the top, this is your header image that's going to show up. You can either upload a header image, and that's a panoramic image, so it needs to be really short and very wide, or you can choose from the library. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Unsplash later, but let's say that I'm gonna want a classroom in the background. So let me see a classroom that works. This will work for me. If you don't like it, you can change it, but you notice how you can zoom in, zoom out. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that one. That's going to be my header image. If you don't like it, you can click on change, choose from the library again. So maybe I want the pencils instead, and you can move it around and make it the way that you want to. So after you've gotten your header image and you've changed your profile image, there is an area here called bio. This is where you can put a little bit of information about yourself. It's kind of deceiving. You don't really have to click on the pencil. You can just click in the box and start typing. So maybe if I'm an elementary teacher, I can put that. I can put where I work. That's totally up to you. So you can put as much or as little information as you want, but then this is going to be your profile page. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and this is how I will look to other people. So after I've done that, if I click back on Wakelet, you'll see this didn't change my Wakelet page. What it changed was my profile page, and this is where you can get to all your different collections. So now I'm going to head back over to our presentation and see what your task is. Again, remember this is not live, so you can either pause and do as you go or wait till the end, but I'm going to go ahead and give the task for those who want to pause. So you're going to go to wakelet.com. You're going to create your Wakelet account. You're going to go to your profile and personalize it as much as you want. You can put your links to social media. You can add a description. You can put any images that you like, but take 5 minutes to do this. So if you want to pause and do that, that's fine. If you'd rather wait till the end, that's fine too. This is going to be task 1. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to the second section. So now we're going to start with our first creation of a collection. This is where it gets super, super exciting. So I'm going to go back to my collection. And if you see the green pulsating plus sign, you're in the right place. So I'm going to click on create a collection. Now I love that it's so easy. Just click the plus sign and you're good to go. So everything, like this says, every great collection starts with a title, and you really have to have a title for your collection. This is going to be the part that people will know what your collection is about. So this is where you need to sort of start brainstorming here. What might you want to create a collection about? So I think I'm getting ready to do a unit on reptiles with my students. So I'm going to make a collection about reptiles. So I'm going to enter a title into this collection about reptiles. So I'm going to call this All About Reptiles. And that's my title. Now you'll see underneath there's a place where you can write a description for your collection. This is going to help, just in case your title wasn't clear enough, it's going to help for the students and for other people to understand the items that are included in this collection. Now I'm going to use this with my students as a way to present information to them. So I'm going to make my description match that. So I have this collection will help guide you through our study of reptiles. Enjoy getting to know these fascinating creatures. So after you have your title and a description, one thing I want to point out is your changes are always being saved. So this is awesome. So it's just saving right along. So you don't have to panic about saving things. So the next thing I'm going to do before I even worry about adding any content is I want to make sure that this collection is representative of what I'm going to be making it on. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a cover image. Now this is where I'm going to talk to you about choose from library. Wakelet uses Unsplash as the library. It's a high quality photo tool so that you can grab photos that others have given the copyright for, so you can use these in the collections, and it's embedded here so it's super easy to look for things. But you can, as you can see here, upload your own. Well, I like just seeing what's available first, because then I'll know if I need to find time to go make something. So I'm going to look up let's see, lizard, and see if there's some good pictures of lizards. Oh, these are fantastic. So I'm going to choose one of these little guys here, And when I click on it, he pops right in there. And then once he's there, you'll notice I have the ability to edit. And edit is, do you want to upload your own because you don't like this one? Do you want to choose a different one? Or do you want to reposition him? So let's see what reposition does. Reposition allows me to zoom in or zoom out or move him around. Maybe I really want him up close and personal. And it also gives you a way to remove it if you don't want to put a picture up there. Also, for your cover image, you can choose half cover, which kind of shrinks it down so that you can see the text a little better, or you can hide it. Ooh, that looks boring for me, so I'm going to go ahead and use a half cover. And because I chose half cover, I'm going to reposition and pull him down a little bit so his little face doesn't get cut off. So there you go. So that's your cover image. The next thing you're going to want to do is think about this background. Now there's nothing wrong with gray, but I do like having your picture in the background because it just adds a little bit of visual interest. To add your picture, you'll notice in the top left-hand corner you have a little gear. If you click on that gear, you'll see add a background image. Again, you're going to be able to upload your own or choose from library. So I'm going to give you a little tip here. I like choosing a background that's more of a texture and not of something specific, because what happens is it stays still while all your content in your Wakelet collection scrolls up and scrolls down on top of it. So I don't like to make it something that's super specific. I like to have more of a texture or something more subtle, because if you use something that has text or it's people, sometimes it gets cut off in weird ways when the content goes on top of it. So I'm going to choose just leaves, because I think that might make a really cool background. So let's see, this is cool. Maybe my little lizard is crawling across these leaves. So what you'll see is right now I don't have enough in there, but this will just sort of be a background. And again, you can change it by going back to that gear and changing background. So right now we've chosen a title. We gave a little bit of a description. We put in our cover image, decided if we wanted it half or whole, and then we put that background picture in there. So now back to our presentation. So at this point, if you're pausing and doing, what you're going to be doing is think about a topic that you would like to have some digital items collected for. So here's some ideas: research project, lesson planning, a unit resource, anything where you have lots of things everywhere and you want to put them together. So think about that, and then you're going to use your plus sign to create your first collection. You're going to give it a title, give it a description, choose a cover image to represent your collection visually, and choose a background image if you would like. And that's all I need you to do for now, and just give yourself 5 minutes if you're pausing, and then if you're not pausing, we're going to keep on going. So now let's get started with adding things to our collection. So I'm going to go back to our collection, All About Reptiles, and we are going to look at the green plus sign. I love it when people make things easy for me, and think about all the different things we can add. Now I'm going to go through each of these and kind of give you a little information about them. So paste a URL is basically any URL that you want to add to your collection. So over here on another tab, I have this reptile site that I want to add. So I'm going to copy that link and come back to my collection. So I'm going to come back to the Wakelet collection and paste it in. And what you'll notice is whenever you paste a URL, for a couple seconds it looks like nothing happens, and then all of a sudden it puts in a link. Now I want to go over something really important that I think is one of the most fascinating parts of Wakelet, is that this is not just a place where I can put a link and put a link and put a link. This is a place where I can customize a link. So here I have this little blue tongue skink, and it pulled over the title of the website and the text. Well, if you click on edit, you get to actually do some customization. So you'll notice it pulled over 5 images, but I'm only looking at 1. So you can keep clicking to see if there's a picture that's on that page that you'd rather use. This globe doesn't really tell me that I'm going to be learning about blue tongue skinks here. It basically is a globe. So you can keep clicking, and when you see one that you want, you can leave it there. If there's not one, you can also upload or go to your library again. You also can change the title of the site. Now, a lot of people get panicky and think, well, I don't want to change this person's website. You're so not changing their website. All you're doing is making this customized for you. The link is going to be the same, but maybe I want to, instead of say what it is, maybe I'm going to say, meet this fascinating lizard. And I don't want them to know what kind it is. And I can just say, instead of what it pulled over, I can say visit this website and learn about this interesting fellow. So I can give them directions about what to do. And then I can click done. So instead of it being some arbitrary website title and some text pulled over from the site, I can actually give them their assignment and directions here. So I'm sort of giving them their job to do as well. So now they know if they click there, they're going to meet a lizard, and here's what they're going to do. So that's adding a link. Now you'll notice after you add one thing to your collection, you then get a plus sign above and below it. That's so that you can decide if you want to add something on top of it or beneath it, so that you can make sure it gets in the order that you want it in. But don't worry, you can also reorder it if you want to, and I'll show you that later. So I'm going to click on that plus sign again, and this time I'm going to go to the second option, which is add text. So add text is going to be super important in a little bit when I show you what you can do with text. That's such a great accessibility feature. So text can be something you type in. It could be something that you have that you've written somewhere else that you want to copy and paste your words into that box, however you want to use this. But the great thing is you do have some tools across the top. You can bold and italicize your text and underline it, as well as there's some headings, so you can put a lot of information in this box even though it looks tiny. You can use bullets, you can align it the way you want, and you can even add links in here. So I'm going to add some text into my text box. Okay, so I put some text in here. I used some headings, heading 1 for the main thing and some heading 2s for these other 2 sections. I used some bullets. I even used a link. So when you're finished adding your text, you're going to click done. Notice anytime you hover over anything you add to a collection, you've got that pencil where you can go back and make changes and just click done when you're done. So that's adding text, and you'll see why that's super exciting later. So now I'm going to go back to my green plus sign, and we're going to look at YouTube. So when you click on YouTube, it's going to give you search YouTube. What I like to do, and I'm going to pull this bar down just a little bit so you can see. So I have this video I want to use, so I'm going to copy the link, go back to Wakelet, and I'm going to do YouTube. So I'm going to paste that YouTube link in. So after you click it in, click search, and then you're going to click add. So that will add your video to your collection. So now I have some text, I have a video, I have a document. So we've moved through these first 3. So let's take a look at tweets. Now in this particular one, there may not be anything that I want to pull into my collection about tweets, but when you go to the tweets section, you can search by keyword, hashtag, or user. So for example, if I know that Innovate Instruction is someone I follow, this is mine. So if I see something on there that has to do with my collection, to add it, I just click the plus sign that's next to it, or I can select all 50 or however many there are there, and then I can click add. Now I'm not going to add them to this collection, but I did want you to see that you can add something from Twitter if you would like. Bookmarks we're going to cover a little bit later, so I'm going to skip over bookmarks and we're going to go to image. Now image, you can upload images, or you can also choose from the library. Remember, I had some really great pictures earlier, so if I want to look for reptiles and I want to find some pictures to put in my collection, I can click on some of the images that I want to include. And there he pops in there, so I'm going to add another one just so we can see. And again, you can upload them if you want. Notice it kept my search, which I really like, especially if you're going to be looking for various things. So I want to be sure and put snakes in here. So here we go. We'll give that just a second to populate. So now I have some pictures in here. I did want to show you with pictures, if you click the edit button, you can add a credit, or you can even add a description. So I may want to add not only a caption here, I might add some more text. So when I click done, it's going to put both of that there. So then I have an element that's an image, but it can become more of an image because I can give them sort of an assignment with that. Again, you can click the edit button to be able to change the image, add credits or captions, and add a description. As well as you have the option when you are finished editing something that you do have the little trash can that you can always delete it. So while I'm here and I have a lot of things in here, I do want to show you that you can drag and drop things. So for example, if I wanted to have this turtle picture under this YouTube video, I can do some dragging and dropping, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Okay, now that we have some pictures and we've added some information, let's keep going through the things that we can add. So now that we've done images, let's go to the right and let's look at how to upload a PDF. So I'm going to click on upload PDF, and I'm going to upload something that I have either on a thumb drive or on my desktop or in local computer storage. And when you add a PDF, it really looks unattractive. It's going to take the title of the PDF, which often the title of a file is something that's not super exciting. So remember the power of that pencil. So I'm going to click on the pencil, and I'm going to call this, this is their reptile research booklet. And I'm going to tell them on this reptile research booklet what they need to use that for. So I've told them what they need to do with it, and now I don't really want to leave that PDF. I can, but I do sometimes, I like to make it pretty. So I'm going to choose from the library. Here's a great turtle. So I'm going to pop in this turtle and say done. So now it's just not a name of a PDF with no direction. It's now a PDF. It has an attractive link that matches the content, and it gives them information on what they're going to do with that. So that is uploading PDFs. To the right of that is Google Drive and OneDrive, and both of these work very similarly, but I do want to give you some information. If you're sharing a file in a Wakelet collection, it's not going to take care of the permissions for you. You have to do that within the platform. So you have to make sure in Google Drive and in OneDrive that your settings match. So if I want to share something from my Google Drive to this Wakelet so that students can click on it, I need to go into the file sharing settings for that document and make sure they're set appropriately. So I know in my Google Drive, I have a file that I want to place in here, and it is about a task card. So I'm going to search in my drive, and I'm going to find that virtual task card. Ooh, there's some other reptile things I can add as well, but we're going to stick with this one for now. So it's adding that file, and it's just going to put the title and say where it came from. So again, I'm going to use the power of that pencil and give some information. So I'm going to say complete this task card by Thursday. And then again, I can edit the image if I like. So now I've added something from Google Drive or OneDrive. So now let's take a look at this last option, and I'm actually going to go up to the very top because I want to talk to you about this last option, which is Flipgrid Video. Now I know a lot of you probably use Flipgrid, some of you may not, and it's okay because you can use this even if you're not familiar with Flipgrid, which is what I love. So this is doing a Flipgrid short, and a Flipgrid short is I want to record myself as the teacher, and I would like to just give a little exciting message to my students, so they click on this Wakelet collection, they click on this video, and I'm talking to them. So we're going to do a sample of that together so you'll see how this works. So I'm going to click on Flipgrid Video, and it's going to show me on the screen, and it's going to give me the ability to record. Now I'm not going to go through all these Flipgrid pieces because really the only thing you need to be familiar with is this record button. Now this says I have 10 minutes to record a video, and that's fine if you want to take all 10 minutes, but I'm just going to record a really quick one to use for this collection, and this is going to be me talking to my students about this collection. countdown. Hi guys, it's Miss Garvey. Welcome to the All About Reptiles Wakelet collection. So we're going to use this collection to help guide us through this unit. I'm going to put some exciting videos, some documents, all kinds of websites and links to make you learn and be excited about reptiles. So use this below to help you, and if you need any help, don't forget you can reach out to me. Use this stuff, yep, down there, all those things, and have fun and enjoy learning about reptiles. Hi guys, it's Miss Garvey. Welcome to the All. So you can see, you record, you can watch it if you want. I'm going to click next, and then I get to take my selfie. I'm going to go ahead and click next. It says don't close the window, and then what happens is it puts that Flipgrid video right at the top. So you can customize it a little bit like you usually do with your magic pencil. But what that's done is it's put that Flipgrid in there. We can delete it, we can move it around. So there's my Flipgrid right at the top. So the students will watch that and be able to find out all of those things that are beneath. So those are all the items that can be added to your collection. So going back to our STEAM presentation. So here's the task you're going to be given. Again, you can pause and do or wait till the end, but you're going to be thinking about the topic that you've created this collection on. Now, you're going to locate at least 4 resources to put into that collection. It doesn't matter what kind, but I'd like for you to put 4 resources in. So you're going to use that plus sign and choose from any of those different things to add at least 4 items to your collection. So you should provide about 15 minutes to do this. These are probably things you already have that you just want to pull in there, but take about 15 minutes and add some things. If you can get more than 4 in there, that's super wonderful. If you're not going to pause and do it, then we're going to keep going and you can do yours at the end. So we're going to move on. So now we're going to look at layout options. So I'm going to take you back to my Wakelet collection, and you see how right now my layout is going from the top all the way down. Now, if you'll remember correctly, some of those other things that I showed you when I showed you the samples, they weren't all top to bottom like that. So if you'll notice, at the very top of where you started adding items, there's a change layout button. I'm going to click on change layout, and you'll notice there's 4 different types of layouts, and I do kind of want to give you some suggestions and explanations of each. So the default view for all Wakelet collections is this media view, and that means the pictures are going to be in a nice size, your videos are going to be in a nice size. Basically, it's the most visual looking of all of them. Compact view really squishes it down and it shows a tile and a description. So I just switched this one to the compact view, and you'll see right there what it did to that Flipgrid short video. My text still looks the same, but I have a little image and then the text. So that is using that sort of layout. So you have to decide what will work for yours. Grid view is basically 2 items together, and so it just does 2 tiles, and puts them side by side. You'll notice if you haven't put any description in it, it will just say image. So that if you are going to pick a view, make sure you scroll through everything and make sure it matches whatever it is that you're wanting to do. The last one is the mood board. That's the most recent view. This one is the one that I think looks like Pinterest. So this is sort of our Pinteresty board. It kind of puts things all in a different location, and it basically puts them in by size. So if you don't need them in a particular order, this is an okay one to use. If you do need a linear assignment, start here, go here, then do this, you're going to want to choose either grid view, compact, or media. Mood board is when you're just giving them lots of things to choose from. So it's totally up to you. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and choose media view because I would like mine to be linear, but again, you can do whatever view you like. So after you've chosen the layout, the next thing I want to draw your attention to is the copy setting. So what you're going to want to do is go over to this year, and you see where it says copy collection, allow others to make copies of your collection. So I made this Wakelet collection, and maybe I want other teachers at in my school district or other teachers everywhere to be able to make a copy of this and make their own edits and add things to it on their own. So this is where you decide, is this something I want to share? And if it is, you can toggle this on, and in a little bit when we talk about how to do your privacy settings, they'll be able to make copies of that. So you just decide if you want to share this or not. It's totally up to you. You just toggle it on or toggle it off and then close it. So let's go back to our assignment for this. So what you're going to do is you're going to change your layout to whatever it is that you think works best for your Wakelet collection that you're making, and then decide if you want others to be able to copy it or not. So toggle it on if you'd like them to be able to. And what I want you to do is just take 5 minutes to do this. This is really quick. Play around, look at the different layouts, see what works, and decide if you want that to be copied or not. If you're not pausing, we're going to keep on going. So our next category here is we're talking about privacy and sharing options. So I'm going to go back to my collection and let's take a look at privacy settings. Privacy settings are at the very top. So I'm going to click on private and we're going to talk about how this works. So privacy settings, there are 3 different specific privacy settings. When you first create a collection, it will always be private, which means I'm still working on it. I don't need anybody to look at it. This is just mine. So private means only you can see it. The one above that is unlisted, and unlisted means I can send you the link and you can get to it, but if you don't have that link, you're not going to be able to search and find it. So that's what unlisted is, and that's one that often teachers use with students if they just want them to look at the resources. Public means I love this collection and I want to share it with everybody. I want everybody to be able to search for it in Wakelet. It's so awesome. I want everybody to find it. So those are the 3 sharing options: private, unlisted, and public. So I'm actually going to make mine unlisted because I do want my students to be able to get to it, but I really don't necessarily want this one searchable by all. So when I've done that, I've added the things I've wanted to, I've decided if I wanted to copy it or not, I'm going to click done. When you click done, you are looking at it in more of an view mode as others would see it. So when you have clicked done, this is basically what it's going to look like to other people. And if you need to go back and add things or change anything, you're going to click on edit and you can go back in there and edit your collection again. And then when you're finished, you just click that done button again and you'll get back to your view that's not editable but what others will see. Now I want to talk to you about how we go about sharing this with others. So now that we've set our privacy, we need to take a look at how do we share it. So at the top you'll notice where it says share. I love when things work together. And so if you're a Google Classroom user, or if you use Microsoft Teams, or you use Twitter or Facebook or Remind, any of these things, I can simply click on one of those buttons or even create a QR code and I can send that link to others in that format. Or I can click copy on this link and actually get a link to my Wakelet that I can share to whomever I want to have it. I also can get embed code if I use a website, and I can use embed code to place my Wakelet inside another website. So lots of different options for sharing the link with others. And that's just when I want someone to look at it. So I want to talk about a little bit different scenario. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to go back to my reptile and edit for just a minute. And I'm going to add something to this presentation at the very bottom, this collection, and I'm going to add some text and I'm going to say, so I have given my students the direction to find some and add them to this one because I want them to add their own to this one. So I'm going to go ahead and click done and done again because I want to get out of edit mode and I want to get back to this other button, the invite button. So see how this is telling them, you know, you're going to find your own resources. So I'm going to click invite And I want you to notice I have invite contributors and manage contributors. So let's talk about what a contributor is. A contributor is someone that doesn't just look at your collection. They can add things to your collection. So if I want my students to be able to add to my collection without having to have an account, this is what you're going to use. Do you see how it says anyone with access to the shareable link can join or code can join? So see, here's this copy link. So I can copy that link or copy this QR code, and I can send that to my students, go to Google Classroom, create an assignment, put that link in there and say, I want you to add something. So what they're going to do is be able to add things to your collection, and they don't have to have an account. So I'm going to show you really quickly how this works. So I'm going to copy this link and pretend I've shared it with my students, and I'm actually going to go into an incognito window so you can see how this works. So give me just a second. Okay, so I have this incognito window up, and I'm going to pretend I'm a student and my teacher gave me that link. And when I click on it, here's what it says. Add your name. So I'm going to put in my name as Sally Sunshine because I'm going to pretend like that's my name. And I'm going to click add. So now that I, as a student, have just put my name into that link, here's my teacher's reptile collection, and it gives me an edit button. And it tells me click here to edit. So if I find something that I want to add to this awesome collection, I now have a plus sign as well that has all of those things. I can create my own collection within here. So maybe I want to make my own mini collection of resources, or I can add a URL, some text resources, an image, something from my Google Drive, something from OneDrive, and I can even create my own little Flipgrid video to put in here. So now as a student, I can paste or add something to my teacher's collection. So now I have this great website that I want to add as a student. So I'm going to click there and I'm going to add that, and it says it was added by you, and I have that same pencil where I can say where I found it. I thought this was great. This is DK Find Out Awesome Pics of Reptiles, and I can write whatever I want to write about it and click done. So that's the student view. So I'm going to click done again, and now it tells me that I've added this. So I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to go back to the teacher view. So this is the teacher view, and I'm going to refresh because I just had a student post something to my collection. So when I go to my collection, here's that link that student added, and it says Sally Sunshine because that's the name I put. Now we all know we might have to have a little conversation with those kids who like to be curmudgeons, but for the most part, it's awesome because I have the ability to see all these great resources that my students are adding. And this is a great way to do a collaborative project gathering resources. So I could even make a Wakelet collection for group 1, a Wakelet collection for group 2, and I can have those, give those a share code so that group 1 gets one share code, group 2 gets a different share code, and they can add things, and then we can share our collections with one another when we're finished. So that's a way that you can use the invite to do a share code with students without having them create an account. Now, you also can add other adults via email. So if I have a teacher staff member that I want to help me with this great lesson plan unit on reptiles, I can add that adult and have them create a Wakelet account, and they'll be able to add to my Wakelet as well. So lots of different ways. If you have added someone, like I have Sally Sunshine here, I can remove her if I want to later. Now that doesn't mean she can't go and create another Sally Sunshine, but this is basically if I had a staff member here that I wanted to remove, I could do that as well. So that is what invite means, inviting people to actually add to my collection. Share is just look at it, invite is contribute to it. So hopefully that kind of clears up the sharing. So what you're going to do, now that we've talked about privacy and sharing, you are going to, if you're pausing and working, here's what you're going to do. In edit mode, go to the top right hand corner and select public or unlisted, and you do need to choose between those two because you're going to be sharing your collection with all of us as part of showing your learning for this session, and then you're going to click done to save your changes. Now that's so super fast, you can just do that right now and be done, but if you're doing this at the end, you can do that as well. So let's move on to the next section, and this is on accessibility and extras. And honestly, this is one of my favorite things about Wakelet, that they have done really well. So I'm going to go back to the collection here and show you a little bit about the tools of accessibility. Now, right now, if I shared this collection with students, they have lots of things that they can take a look at. But one of the things that is really super powerful for students to use are some tools that are built into Wakelet. You may have noticed that next to anything that's just text, I have this little icon, and that's called the immersive reader icon. So I'm going to show you what happens if I click on that icon. So I'm going to go ahead and click. And I get a page where everything else is gone and just the text is here. And I have a play button at the bottom.
This collection will help guide you through our study of reptiles.
So I can have this read aloud to me, and I can even click on voice settings, change the speed so it's at the pace I prefer, and male or female depending on what I prefer to hear it read aloud as. So anything that has that little immersive reader icon, all of a sudden I can have read aloud. So that is the power of using the text tool, is when you put text in this Wakelet collection, you are also automatically getting the immersive reader. Super exciting tool. Now let's talk about some other tools that are in here. So we also added a website link, and this was about the blue-tongued skink, and you'll notice when I hover over it and I'm visiting it, I have this little read mode beta icon. So I'm going to click on that and show you what happens. Now I don't know about you, but there are times I go to a website and there's so much distracting things that's happening on the page, whether it's advertisements or things just zooming all over the place. And students can get easily distracted. And we know there are some students who are more susceptible to getting distracted. So in this particular tool, using the read mode beta tool, it doesn't work on every single website out there, but it does work on a lot of them. It strips out all the junk and it actually just puts the text. So you'll see here's this website. Now you don't really know what it looks like, but I'm going to go over to where it says visit original so you can see what it's done. So if I had just clicked on this, this is what my student would get. Now in this particular case, that's not super distracting, but there are times that you go to a website that does have a lot of distracting text. If this read mode didn't work with it, it would say it's not ready for this tool yet, and it would just have you go back to the original. But what you will also notice is at the top, you have that immersive reader button again. So I could actually have this page read aloud to me.
What part of the world are blue-tongued skinks from?
So you'll see that that doesn't just give me the ability to see text in a more non-distracting way, it also gives me that immersive reader button. So super awesome ways to get to content in your collection. Also, one of the other things that the immersive reader has that I just love, and I'm actually going to go back to this one so this will show you quickly. I'm going to click on the immersive reader, and we talked about how you could just click play or you could change the voice settings, but I didn't point you to these things over on the top. These are extra tools that also come with the immersive reader. The first one are text preferences. You may have students with some visual impairments that need that text really large. So now they can take your Wakelet collection text and actually enlarge it themselves. Also, they can decide to increase or decrease spacing depending on their visual needs, or even change the font, because there are some fonts that are maybe more easily read than others with those with some kind of visual impairment. Additionally, you may have students who need a dark background with light text. It's right here. They can change it themselves. There's also more color options. So if you have students who have some visual challenges, this is a great place. And me, I like to do this because I have visual challenges. Lots of different things. This next tab are grammar options, and these are just fun because maybe I want us to do a little lesson here, and we're going to focus on the nouns of this paragraph. So I want to highlight the nouns, or maybe I want to just look at the verbs. So you'll see how we now have some tools where we can actually look at parts of speech. We also can turn on labels so it tells what kind of part of speech it is if you want to show the labels. Then if you have someone who's a beginning reader and maybe needs to divide up the syllables so it's a little easier for them to sound out, you also have a syllables tool as well. So great things there that are just extra. Over on the right, you have reading preferences, and this is one that's super helpful. Now, if you might have a student who really needs help only focusing on 1 or 2 lines at a time. Now, this is only 3 lines of text, so it's not going to be super exciting to switch it over to 3 lines. But if you have a student who really only needs to look at 1 or 2 things at a time, this is a super helpful way to be able to do line focus. So I'm going to turn that off. The next one is a built-in picture dictionary. So if you click on some words and there are pictures that can be associated with that vocabulary word, it actually already has some pictures in there. Super helpful for struggling readers, maybe students who English is not their first language. Lots of different ways to get some pictures in there. Not all words have pictures, but many do. So this is a super helpful thing. Also, you'll notice if you click on a word that maybe you don't know how to pronounce,
Fascinating.
you can also just listen to one word at a time rather than having the whole thing read aloud. Now, speaking of students where English is not their primary or first language, there may be times that we do need them to read things in English to practice their reading of English, but there are other times that we need them to focus more on the content and not on struggling to read English. So if you have language in here that you've typed in to your Wakelet collection and they've opened it in this immersive reader tool, there's also the ability to translate it to a different language. So maybe my native language is German and I want to translate this entire document into German. So now I can read it in my native language and I can even hear it.
Diese Sammlung wird Ihnen helfen.
I can even have it read aloud to me in my native language. So there are some extraordinary tools in here that are very useful that just come with that immersive reader tool. And all I had to do to get that is to put text into my Wakelet collection. So that gives you a lot of incentive to not just add website links and videos and URLs, but also text so that you can give some extra support to those students who need it most. So with these accessibilities and extras, I've linked some things to this presentation, but I do kind of want to go over some of them. We just talked about immersive reader and read mode. There's also a link to use Wakelet on your mobile device. This is another great way that you can use mobile devices to actually use the power of Wakelet to add things to collections. Extensions, there is a Wakelet extension where you can add something to your collection just by being on that page, so that you don't have to copy and paste. You can just use that Wakelet extension. There's also the ability to use bookmarks, and I do want to go back to our collection and talk to you about bookmarks. So I'm going to click back on Wakelet, and you'll notice this is my account. You'll notice I have 1,161 bookmarks. Now, did I sit there and bookmark every single thing? No, because what you'll notice is anything that I add to a collection automatically becomes a bookmark. And those bookmarks are just added. Even this one the student added earlier about the awesome pics of reptiles has actually become a bookmark. So anything you've added to collections becomes a bookmark. So you can also just bookmark something from the app. So that's what that means with bookmarks, and there's some information on that as well. Also, profile page sections. So you may have only had one collection that you created today with me, or haven't created yet, but you're going to create it in a few moments. So your profile page may not have very much on it. So here's my profile page, and I do want to show you I have a lot of collections available to be seen on my profile page, but what you'll notice is there's sections: news and articles, technology integration support, Google Apps support, and those sections are also listed on the left. So you can actually manage this page, and you do that by clicking Edit Profile. We did this earlier to just look at profiles, but you can also add sections and break and drag and drop your collections into sections so that you can put them in the right place. So super easy to manage that profile page. We already talked about collaborators, so that part has already been covered in the previous section, but there are some resources for you there as well. So these links are there to help you. Now, for those of you who do have a district where students are allowed to create Wakelets, I do want you to know there is a student ambassador program for those of you who have students that are allowed to create Wakelet collections. They do have to have the ability to create one to be part of that ambassador program. But for those of you who are teachers, even in districts where students can't create their own accounts, I really highly encourage you to become a community member, or if not, an ambassador for Wakelet. Super exciting tool. Then they have a great community of people who share more and more ideas of how teachers are using Wakelet. So there's that slide to learn more, and there is a link to learn more about those different ambassador programs as well. So here is the time where we're getting close to the end, and I do want to tell you the last task. The last task is you're going to have a collection that you want to share, and so you're going to be sharing your collection. You're going to copy your collection link, and what you'll do, just to remind you, is let me get out of here for just a second and go back to our Wakelet collection. So here's my All About Reptiles. If I want to share this collection, I'm going to click on share, and all I'm going to do is copy this link right here. Just click copy. So then what is my next direction? It tells me to go to this Wakelet, click edit, and then paste this collection. So what you're doing is I've given you my student code, and you're going to add your collection to this collaborative collection. Now the collection you're going to be adding to is one that was also used in NC Learns Together 3.0. So I'm combining NC Learns Together 3.0 attendees with the BCS STEAM attendees, so you can go and see lots of different collections that have been created across North Carolina on a variety of different topics. So you're going to edit the collection, paste in the URL to your created Wakelet, and then you're going to click done. So for those of you who have said, you know what, I'm going to do this all at the end, here is the slide for you. These are the 6 specific tasks that you need to complete in order to get full credit for this session. So what you'll want to do is follow the time suggestions in each, and then when you have shared your collection at the very end, you've completed everything you need to for this particular workshop. So I do want to say, if you have any questions, remember I've given you the link to email itech@hcpsnc.org for any questions. I also have given you my Twitter handle, so you can follow me on Twitter, and also my Wakelet collection, so you can see any new collections that I put up for my teachers in Henderson County, so that you can take advantage of those as well. So obligated to say this, what's going to happen at the end of the session. You're going to get an email after the closing keynote, and that email is going to have a link to a form that you have to fill out within 24 hours in order to receive credit for attending. So you're going to be able to get 0.6 CEU credits for a full day, or 0.3 for a half day, and there's going to be a link to MLP if you're a BCS attendee at the bottom of the form. And I do want to point out to you a couple resources. So session resources, there's my bit.ly link again to get to this presentation so that you can access all the resources. And I did have one final slide to share with you. This is my Wakelet Resources Hyper Slide that has a lot of different resources and how-to guides for you that you can use. So feel free to use those. I super appreciate you spending time with me today. And I hope you've learned a lot about Wakelet and that you've gotten excited about it, because it really is an awesome tool, and it's a great way to curate and collaborate on resources around a specific topic in a variety of media file types. It makes it super easy. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me, or your morning, depending on which session you came to. Thanks, and I look forward to seeing you in 2021 at BCS STEAM.